Welcome to the Donovan and Jorgensen Heating and Cooling Primetime Preps Football Pregame Show presented by the superheroes at Current Electric. I am Mike McGivern. Thank you so much for joining us. Week 4 of the 2025 high school football season is here. We're in the Metro Classic Conference tonight as the Lightning from Lake Country Lutheran travel to take on the defending state champion Angels from Racine St. Catherine's. So these two teams are always near the top of the conference, and this year LCL is 3-0 with wins over St. Mary Springs, Lakeside Lutheran, and Watertown Lutheran Prep. St. Catherine's is 2-1 with wins over Winnebago Lutheran and Milwaukee Academy of Science and a loss to Brown Deer. Tonight, we're talking about the Lightning from Lake Country Lutheran, who are coached by Greg Brazgel, the only head coach in LCL history. He helped start the program in 2002. We're now joined by the head football coach at Lake Country Lutheran. He is Greg Brazgel. Hey, Coach, it's good to see you. How you doing? 3-0, feeling pretty good about this team?
Yeah, it's good to see you again. Definitely 3-0 always feels good.
Yeah, it does. And you know, it's interesting. You always start out with some really difficult non-conference teams, and you do that for a reason, right? And we've had this conversation where you want to know where your team is at, and you don't shy away. LCL has come a long way, man. And for you guys to start with non-conference teams like St. Mary Springs, you said, look, we just want to know where we're at in the beginning. Let's find out right away so we can make some tweaks from our end. And when you start 3-0 against the kind of teams that you've played already, you just got to feel good about where this team is at and what their future holds.
Yeah, it's a good combination because you get a storied program that has 17 state titles. So you always want to see how you stack up against them week 1, and then you face a Lakeside team that's like 300 across the line. So how are we going to be when we go against like bigger, tougher, run down your face type teams? And we were able to, hold up in both of those games. So pretty excited, yes.
And then to start the conference with Watertown Lutheran Prep, that's a team that, look, over the years, Coach, they will fight. They're not going to give up, and it's a team that brings something to the field that I always liked watching because it's a difficult group, I think, at times because they're kids from all over the place, and to build a program the way they've built it, it's a little bit different. But I'll tell you what, you guys looked awfully good against a team that's going to get a lot of wins, I think, in that conference.
Yeah, I would agree. Coach does a great job over there, kind of molding those kids. He gets a lot of time with them, but they always seem to be a well-run program. Our defense got to them pretty quick, and then obviously our special teams took over there when they scored, and we were able to just return 2 kicks for touchdowns. So sometimes big plays like that can really change the momentum of the game.
100%. This week, St. Catherine's defending state champion, St. Catherine's brings a whole different, I think, when you're watching film, right, their speed, I think, jumps off the tape a little bit at you, and some of the things that they do, they got some kids up front that are tough and big, but their speed is something that certainly would concern a guy like you coming up tonight. When you play them, right, I would think that's a team that has a lot of confidence at this point.
Yeah, I would say that's definitely one of the benefits of me kind of doing some track coaching the last 3 seasons is my 4x100, 4x200 team is now on our football team. So we like to think that if anyone can match their speed, we feel like Lake Country Lutheran can. It's something that we're excited about. But yeah, definitely they have some of the best players on the field, but we believe we have the best team on the field. So we'll see how that plays out tonight.
Man, it's going to be fun to watch. Coach, let's talk about some of the players that are making this team go. Your quarterback is having a really good year, both offensively and defensively, but he's a kid that controls the huddle on offense, and you're pretty proud of the way he's playing right now.
I mean, he is a great kid, and even our teachers say it in class, but he's just so coachable. He just wants to learn the game and do everything right. He's been my safety since the first game of his sophomore year. I always knew he could run our defense, and now he's running our offense as the quarterback. He's just been waiting a long time for this opportunity, and he's definitely not overlooking it, and he's taking advantage of it.
Well, it's interesting, Coach, when you have somebody that comes in to play quarterback his senior year. He's been on the field, so things have slowed down for him defensively. But I think it looks to me like things have really slowed down for him offensively as well. And he makes really good decisions on the floor or on the field with some of the tape that I've been watching. And it seems to me like he's really comfortable at looking at his first option and being able to get off his first option and get to his second option. And that, for me, is a kid that things have slowed down a little bit for him.
Yeah, and that comes from our offensive coordinator. I mean, I'm the defensive coordinator. I want to be all fired up, excited. I want to hit you in the mouth. I'm that guy. Our offensive coordinator is very calm, very calculated, very under control, never loses his temper. And so that gets passed on to Connor as he kind of processes how every offensive play is going to play out.
Hey, Coach, defensively, I think if we start with Anderson, the defensive lineman, he's awfully good and causes a lot of problems for teams. I think when they break down film on you, they got to figure out where he is and how they're going to block him and take him out of the game a little bit. And he's a kid that I can tell you, I was told in the offseason, my grandson is a freshman at LCL, and he's a lineman. And I had a parent from your quarterback last year who said, look, if I were you, I would have your grandson spend as much time with that kid in the weight room and on the field, just trying to learn on how he plays. And he's a kid that certainly causes a lot of havoc for opposing teams on the defensive line.
Yeah, and I mean, you're right. He's an incredible role model. He's taken 5 AP classes, so he's a top-notch kid. But he's definitely someone you want your younger players to hang out with for modeling their character, but also the way he plays the game. But it's one of those things, like if you spend too much time on him, then everybody else is going to end up beating you. And that's, something we're focusing on too. You spend too much time on 7 for St. Kate's and everyone else will find a way to beat you. So both of our teams, you really have to pay attention to all 11 people on the field and not just focus on the one that might pop off the paper.
Hey, Coach, the last question for you. In the backfield, you guys, you go in and out with a number of players, but I love the fact that you've got a couple of brothers, right, that are leading that backfield, and there's some other players that have great numbers, but I love the fact that you've got the Graff brothers in the backfield, and wondering a little bit, I know that the younger one, I think he played offensive line or played a different position last year, and you put him in the backfield, and both these Graff brothers are certainly producing for you.
Yeah, sometimes we take our most talented offensive lineman and turn him into a lineman that plays fullback. But if Tyson gets the ball, week 1, I think he repped one off for 76 yards. So, I mean, he's a weapon. He's on our 4x100 team for a reason. And he's a big boy, but he's quick. And, they argue a little bit. They fight a little bit over who's better, who's getting more yards per carry. But, they both have a team mindset going into this thing. They're not trying to compete for their own stats. They only want one stat, and that's the W.
Well, hey, Coach, I'm going to let you go, but before I do, I've got to say thank you. My grandson, Logan, who's a freshman, and he gets a chance to suit up a little bit on varsity and gets a play or two here or there, and I spent a lot of time with him, and he loves playing football for you, and he loves playing at LCL and having the Lightning on his jersey, and I just want to say thank you for how you've treated him, and hopefully he makes some plays for you Friday night and here in the future, and thank you for that.
Yeah, we love hanging them, and if anybody else is looking for a great place to play football where somebody loves them, Lake Country Lutheran's the place.
100%. He is Greg Brazgel, head football coach, the only head football coach in LCL history, and he does a really good job. When you talk about this program, I used to say on my radio show, it's one of the best programs in the state, but I know it now firsthand. Having a grandson be part of this and how they go about their business. And I'm really proud of my grandson and proud of the fact that he's playing at LCL. Hey, Greg, looking forward to it. Good luck tonight against St. Catherine's.
Thank you, Mike, for the nice words, and thank you for the confidence.
You bet. We're going to get to a break. Other side, we're going to be joined by the head football coach at Racine St. Catherine's. He is Dan Miller. This is the Donovan and Jorgensen Heating and Cooling Primetime Preps Football Pregame Show, presented by Current Electric, only on My 24. Welcome back to the Donovan and Jorgensen Heating and Cooling Primetime Preps Football Pregame Show, as always presented by Current Electric. We're getting ready for kickoff as Lake Country Lutheran takes on the Angels for Racine St. Catherine's. We're now joined by the head football coach at St. Catherine's. He's Dan Miller. Coach, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Beautiful day and ready to get Friday going here.
Hey, Coach, before we start talking about this year's team, a couple of things I think we need to mention. First of all, congratulations. You're going to be inducted in a couple of months into the WFCA Hall of Fame, and what a great step, and congratulations on being a Hall of Fame member.
Thank you very much. It's not something that you think about when you get into coaching, but I've been coaching for 31 years, and if you have to have great coaches, great players, and a great school community to support you, and I've been very fortunate to have that.
Well, you know what? Congratulations to you and your family and staff and certainly the St. Catherine's community. It really is a big deal. It's a great event, and I'm sure that you and your family will really have fun. Hey, before we get into this year's team, last year's team wins the state championship. And look, I've coached basketball a long time. St. Catherine's always known in my circles as a basketball school. Hey, Coach, that's starting to change a little bit. It's getting to be known as a basketball/football school, and you and your staff have certainly done that. Hey, last year when you win a state championship, Coach, that next year you're hunted. Every school kind of circles you on the calendar and the schedule saying, look, they won a state championship last year. Let's find out how good we are if we can compete with a state champion like this. Do you feel that pressure at all as the head coach at St. Catherine's?
So when you sign up to be the head coach of St. Catherine's in any sport, you are hunted. No matter whether you win a state title, a conference championship, every school plays their A game against us. It doesn't matter. We're St. Catherine's. We're the Angels, so you always want to beat up on the Angels, and that's something that when I started in 2004, it was, if everyone's going to hunt us, we're going to hunt them right back. And what greater way to continue to peak into the playoffs than to play everybody's best competition, everybody's A game. And so we're fortunate that everyone wants to come and play their best against us.
I agree with that. I do, and that really kind of that sets you guys apart. And when you're talking the first day of practice to say, look, you have St. Catherine's or Angels on your jersey, that means everybody's going to give you the best shot. So understand that there might be some teams that are down in our conference. They're not going to be down when they play us. Hey, Coach, let's talk about some of the players that make this team go. And I want to start with number 55, A.C. Contreras-Ward, defensive end, offensive lineman, senior that is just as tough as they come. He's a kid that was an all-state player for you last year, back this year. What kind of year is he having?
Yeah, he's having an excellent year. He's starting out really strong, just wreaking havoc off that edge. He's a very physical player. He's got Division I scholarship offers. Is definitely, someone that you got a game plan for off the edge because he's very physical. We moved him from the rush side, the boundary side, to the field side. He's gotten bigger, faster, stronger. And, is really, working his craft right now. He getting the all-state accolades, you have some skills, some natural ability, and now he's starting to hone in some of the craftiness of the position, which is great. And then, you lose last year, like you said, with the state championship team. You obviously win games up front, and we lost a couple really key offensive linemen. And he was, you have to have that conversation. He was a tight end last year and a defensive end. So, he's looking at, hey, do I have to, what do I got to do this year? And I'm like, we need you to play left tackle. And he's like, Coach, whatever you need me to do.
Boy, you got to love that. Coach, when people talk about St. Catherine's football or basketball at this point, they talk about Lamont Hamilton. He's a kid that is dynamic on the field. Anytime he gets his hands on the ball, there's a chance he's going to take it to the house. Got great speed, great toughness. Talk a little bit about the kind of year Lamont Hamilton is having.
Yeah, again, he started out really hot. Had a bunch of catches against the Winnebago game team. Had a great game against MAS. Really, just he's so difficult to defend. We have ways to get them open. If they want to double coverage them, have a corner on them and a safety over top. He's not just an offensive weapon, which, obviously he broke several records last year in the state game, but he's also a great defensive back, and we have him playing. He was a corner last year. We have him playing some safety this year so that he can get involved in the run game more. He's so physical. But the greatest thing about Lamont is simply his competitive attitude and the juice he brings, not just in the games, but every day at practice. I mean, I wish I could tap into whatever cup he's drinking, because it is truly remarkable. He's a leader on the team. He's a captain, and says the right things at the right time.
Coach, last player I want to tee up for, Eddie Vincent, is a quarterback last year, win a state championship. And we talk about quarterbacks being in charge of that huddle, and he's a kid that you have just a lot of confidence in.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, 29 touchdowns, 1 interception. That interception last year was in the level 3 game. So, I mean, he protects. He's really great with the football. He's able to check down. He doesn't run much, but I tell you what, he can run the ball. He's also been voted a captain. We had a lot of seniors last year in the state team, so he was able to, as a junior quarterback, to just kind of sit and let the seniors lead. And now he's being a really good leader, really promoting the offensive line that have been protecting him well.
Coach, thank you very much. Hall of Fame coach Dan Miller being inducted in a few months in the WFCA Hall of Fame. Really appreciate your time. We're going to get to a break. Other side, we're going to be joined by Dan Snell. He's the office manager for the AAYFL in our AAYFL Spotlight segment. This is the Donovan and Jorgensen Heating and Cooling Primetime Preps Football Pregame Show presented by Current Electric, only on My 24. Welcome back to the Donovan and Jorgensen Heating and Cooling Primetime Preps Football Pregame Show presented by Current Electric. We're getting close to kickoff for the Lake Country Lutheran at Racine St. Catherine's Metro Classic Conference matchup. Before we send you over to Terry Kelly and John Weiser, let's talk to Dan Snell in our AAYFL Spotlight segment. Dan, how you doing?
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Dan is the deputy commissioner and office manager for the AAYFL. Kind of a family affair over at that office, right?
It is becoming that way, yes.
Yeah, your brother Matt and Mason all involved in this, correct?
Yeah, my oldest son Matt is our website person, and my middle son Mason is one of the deputy commissioners and also a high school football coach.
Where's he coaching?
He coaches at Arrowhead.
Man, that's awesome. How long have you been involved with the AAYFL?
Between coaching, running a program, and running the office and deputy commissioner, about 22 years.
Boy, it has changed over the years, Dan.
It definitely has.
It really has. And the number of kids that are participating in the AAYFL and programs has really blown up. And I congratulate you guys at the office for doing the things that you do to get more kids to participate in the game of football. You've seen it change the last 22 years. And I think that we had a little bit of dip as far as the amount of participants, and you guys are on the rise at this point. Why do you think that is?
I think people are realizing, and especially moms are realizing, that the game is getting safer. I think, between like a USA Football and other organizations that are out there, talking about the right things and, how to protect children and getting the right things in place has gone a long ways to bringing numbers back.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then there are communities, I think, over the years that have been in other leagues that have seen the kind of things that you guys do at the AAYFL, how you coach up the coaches, how you protect these kids, and some of the practice things that you guys do. And I think that you're right when you said, look, moms are making a lot of decisions in our homes, and they're realizing that though football is a violent sport and there's some hitting that goes on, there are so many lessons to be learned when you're part of a youth football program that's run correctly. And the more I spend time with you guys, and I've been to a couple of your meetings, and I just think that it's run really, really well, and you keep looking at the future and figuring out how to get more kids involved. Hey, for the amount of years you've been involved with the AAYFL, what keeps a guy like you up at night when it comes to this league?
It's just, learning what can we do to make the kids safer? What can we do to keep officials officiating in our league? What can we do to make it so that it's safe for spectators? As things have changed over the years, more spectators have gotten in arguments throughout the country, and you've seen some of that. And what we try to do is stay ahead of that and eliminate that from our league. Whether it comes down to a fine or something like that, it is what it is.
Right.
But we have to make it enjoyable for the kids. And if spectators are getting all riled up, it's not enjoyable for the kids anymore.
It's not. Dan, I got to tell you that I didn't know a lot. My grandsons played in the AAYFL. My son-in-law coached in it, so I knew a little bit about it. But now that I've had a chance to have you guys be partners with me on my high school football radio show on Fox Sports 920 every Saturday morning, and now on our high school football game of the week, I really appreciate it. It gives us an opportunity to highlight, promote, and celebrate the great work that you guys do. In fact, next week on my radio show, we're gonna go back to doing the AAYFL Team of the Week, and I'll get a chance to come out and give a plaque to the Team of the Week and address the team. And I thank you so much for getting involved in some of the things that I do, and I thank you and Greg Clark and the whole staff at the AAYFL.
Well, we appreciate it, and we appreciate the time on your show. I think it gives us a good foothold in the community to be seen out there, and people actually learning what we do. AAYFL is one of the very few leagues in the country that lets the program heads make the rules.
Right.
Where Greg and I and the other board members have to enforce them. We're one of the very few that the members actually get to make up their rules.
Hey, Dan, thank you so much for your time. He is Dan Snell. He is, again, Deputy Commissioner and Office Manager for the AAYFL. We're going to get to a break. Other side of the break, we're going to turn it over to John Weiser and Terry Kelly as the Lightning from Lake Country Lutheran travel to take on Racine St. Catherine's in a Metro Classic Conference matchup. This is the Donovan and Jorgensen Heating and Cooling Primetime Preps Football Pregame Show presented by Current Electric only on My 24.